Well, I'm glad you're on with me today because you have created such a wonderful life for yourself. And so today's topic of midlife success is what does that what do we do? What do we do after career, kids, uh, relationships, parents passing, like what do we do with ourselves? What does our world unfold into? What how can we be joyful? Like how can you get up in the morning and go, I'm so fortunate, I'm so happy to be here without being dragged down by the stuff that's going on around you. And I'm not talking about the news. I'm not talking about political stuff that's going on around the world. But, you know, I, I was with some girlfriends over the weekend and, one of them, their dearest friend had Alzheimer's and she just passed. And, another one lost her parents. And it was, how do we be okay with what life brings us because we made it here. We made it through all the stuff that happened to us in our 20s, 30s, 40s, in our younger, even before that, in our, elementary school or whatever, high school.
Mhm.
We made it through all of that stuff, all of those experiences. But then we get to this time in our life and I think sometimes we get caught up maybe in the drama of it or in the this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know, instead of looking at these things that are thrown at us as just another life transition of what we're going through. So it may be that you might have been abused when you were younger, but now that abuse is gone. But now people around you, maybe your classmates, maybe your family, are either passing or getting sick, and we harbor this stuff as in fear, like seeing maybe our own immortality, right? And so how going through keeping yourself busy and active enough and in a I call it I'm calling everything that I'm doing now a passion project. So how can you then live a life of passion when different things are happening that you've never experienced before? And like still living out that dream because midlife is a long time. I was reading an article yesterday that said midlife starts when you're 35. And I I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily think of my midlife starting when I was 35. Maybe somewhere in my 40s, but I was still learning. I was still learning to be a human. I was still learning how to be a woman when I was 35. I didn't consider that as midlife. That was just a stepping stone. It really wasn't, I felt, until my 40s that I really began to get some traction in my life and in my career and how I felt about myself, how I began to value myself and be able to draw boundaries. I wasn't doing any of that in my 30s. So I think that when I talk about midlife, I want people to realize that we're never one and done. So midlife is always going to be a transition until we are no longer. Because what I'm doing now in my 60s I hope will flourish into something else in my 70s. So I feel like I'm planting seeds for what my 70s are going to look like. These girlfriends that I was with over the weekend, we talked about retiring. In America is the only one that uses the word retirement. So
Really?
yeah, it's like we're put out to pasture. So if we took that word away, if we took that word out of our vocabulary, then what does this become? I think for me, it's just another learning process about who I am, and I think that I think more about what I'm going to leave behind, what my legacy is going to be, what I want my daughters to say about me when I'm gone. So that's more of what I think about, as well as planting seeds for my future, for 70s, 80s, 90s, hundreds. Like, what I mean, they say we have the capacity to live to over 100 now. So what if that's the case? I need to start planting seeds now. I need to take a look at what midlife success means to me today, and what it might mean to me in the future, with or without the people that are in my life now, with or without the people that are in my life now. Because my husband is going to turn 77 this year. So, uh, you know, could he go before me? Maybe. Could I go before him? Maybe. But if he goes before me, then I still have life to live. And what does that look like for me, especially living overseas? Like, where am I going to go? Like, what happens? My sister said this to me the other day. If Jishu, my husband's name, if Jishu passes before you, are you going to stay in Poland? And I said, yeah, why not? Like, I love it there. Like, what, I don't know when I'm, when I'm not going to be any longer. So I need to remain in my in my place of joy. And it's like, the other thing is, I said to these women over the weekend, I said, because we were talking about retirement, midlife, what the next step is for them. And I said, it's just like Christmas. Christmas comes the same day every year, and we're still never ready for it. So what is it going to take you to take a look at your life now and begin creating a plan? Like a Word document, a path, a strategy. What is it that you want to learn? I think that now is a great time. I just was on the Harvard University website to begin taking a free course in happiness. So all the big universities, Brown, Penn State, Yale, Harvard, Berkeley, they all have free programs. Now, if you want a certificate out of that program, then you can pay for it. But if you just want to take courses, regular courses, then you can join them for free. So, like, what is it that would spark joy in your life, or interest? What could you be curious about, so that you can self-direct yourself in a new area, or a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at your world? Another article that I did a lot of reading this week, so you're gonna get it all. So another article that I read this week was this equation. And this is from Chip Conley from the Elder Academy. And this is the equation that he uses. Despair equals suffering minus meaning.
Minus what?
Meaning.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can take, he said, how he described it was you can take any one of those words and take it out of the equation. And so if you take despair away, suffering is minus meaning. Despair minus meaning equals suffering. So he said, you get to choose which one of these words you're going to hold on to for the day, for the week, for the month, for the rest of your life. You actually get to choose and plug in and leave behind those parts that are causing you sadness, stripping yourself of joy, creating negative thoughts, creating negative self-talk. So despair equals suffering minus meaning. So where in your life can you find meaning? And I know that for a lot of women, their meaning is their grandchildren. And although that's not how I would describe myself, I actually plan my trips to America around my grandchildren's vacation time so that I get to spend time with them. But where the meaning in my life comes from, like, what's your word? What's the word that most drives you? And for those of you that hang around me enough, you know that my word is freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to go, freedom to be. So if my meaning is freedom, then what do I need to do every day? How do I need to budget? How do I need to plan? How do I need to feel about myself in order to create that freedom? Because it's just not going to show up. I'm the one that has to actually create it. I have to play a role in me. So what part do I have? How can I let my soul be who it was called to be at any age, at any age? And the other thing that I listened to this week was I listened to a interview. I love yoga. I do yoga with Adriene 4 days a week, yoga with Adriene on YouTube. And
I'm sorry, what was that? What on YouTube?
Yoga with Adriene.
Okay.
Yoga with Adriene. And even if you're not yoga goers, just turn on one of her sessions because she's pretty brilliant in how she describes what you're supposed to be feeling or calling forth in the move that she's asking you to do. But in the yoga session that I did the other day, and I thought that this was interesting and it really gave me time to pause. So this might be interesting for you, Terry. She said it was about connecting yourself with your breath. And she said, What if the breath was your spirit? How deep would you breathe? She said, because when we're gone, when we take our last breath, our spirit is gone. So then could spirit be breath? And if that were true, for you, then how would you breathe differently? How would you breathe in love and exhale love? And I've been journaling about that for the past couple of days since I did that session. And I've got to go back and do that session over again several other times because, you know, I get focused on one thing, right? She said that one thing and I got focused on that. And I'm sure that there's a lot more that I could have learned from her in what she was expressing. But I was so like, oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I do. I feel better when I breathe in. I feel better when I breathe through my whole body instead of just up here in my lungs in short breaths, which is what mainly we do. We don't usually walk around doing deep breathing exercises, but what if you did? What if you consciously were breathing in love and exhaling love? How would that change your outlook to what midlife means to you? If you are coming from a place of enoughness, because there's enough breath in me, there's enough air in me to step into this desire that keeps calling me. Because once we have these desires, they don't go away. They may sit on the back burner for a while, but they're not going to go away. So how can I on a daily basis relax into my breath or into my spirit, into my soul enough to direct my thoughts in a way that's going to help me continually to step forward into what it is that keeps bugging me, what it is that keeps, like, why aren't I doing this kind of thought? What can I do? It's like a midlife reinvention. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking all of the skills, all of the wisdom, all the experience that you have gained throughout your life and reinventing yourself. Stepping into a person that's shed all this stuff and that is now just, when I took my etiquette, my protocol certification, which was way back, long time ago, in the like 2000, maybe late 1900s. That sounds weird, late 1900s. Anyway, that sounds bad. Oh boy. Anyway, the etiquette teacher said to me, or the facilitator said to me, whenever you're doing something, try to imagine that you're doing it for the very first time. So that, for instance, if you are going to an event or a party or you're going to meet somebody, act as though you are meeting them for the very first time, without judgments, without criticisms, without expectations of what you're going to talk about, what you're going to experience, nothing. So that when you walk over that threshold, you are doing that for the very first time. Imagine the joy and the excitement, some anxiety that you would be stepping into that experience with. And that's how I like to think of midlife success, is that I'm reinventing myself every day. I'm shedding more and more of the stuff that I don't want to do, even in my business. I'm shedding more and more of the stuff that I don't want to do. Letting clients go, or I don't really do any business to business work anymore. That's not what I want to do. It's not what I want to focus on. So how can I keep shedding this through my thought and intent of who I wish to become, or what is the path that I want to follow today? That doesn't mean it's going to be the same path that I follow tomorrow, because as I go and grow, there are things that I'm going to learn about myself or discover that I enjoy that I want to go investigate before I get back on the path. Before I want to gain some of this stuff over here to expand me as a person before I get back on this path to this total desire that I have, or dream that I have, of being someplace, doing something, experiencing something. So there's nothing wrong. And as a matter of fact, the road to your dreams is never going to be straight. The road to your dreams is going to be full of twists and turns, bumps and falls, catastrophes, embarrassments. And if you think otherwise, then you're in for a huge surprise, because even at this stage in our life, we're gonna fail, we're gonna trip, we're gonna make fools out of ourselves, say the wrong thing at the wrong time, go to the wrong place. Well, the key, I think, to like this age is that hopefully I get to notice faster, admit to myself faster that I'm derailed, that I fell, that I failed, and that's just part of the journey. It's not, it in no way means that I need to stop, or that I'm stuck, or that I'm bad, or that it's not for me. It is just part of the journey. So where can I make a change? Because this is never about somebody else. It's never about my husband. It can't ever be about my husband, because then I'm putting the blame on him for anything that I'm unfulfilled in. I'm the one that has to fill my cup. He makes me feel good. He's my biggest cheerleader, but I'm the one that has to fill my cup. I can feel great when I'm around my grandkids and my daughter, and being here in America with them and hanging out with them and doing things with them. But ultimately, my experience is I'm filling my cup. So in setting yourself up for success, I think, if we took a look at the wheel of life that's divided, the wheel of life is generally divided into 10 parts. But if you just took a look at one area of your life that you could work on, that maybe you've been ignoring, that maybe it's that area of your life that has been stopping you. This is the time to get honest with yourself. This is the time to really take a look at the things that you've swept under the carpet for quite some time, and decide where you want to start on your success journey. Because if you try and be successful in every area of your life, so say for instance, you want to start eating healthy, you want to start exercising, you want to learn something new, you want to have a better relationship with somebody in your life, you want to do something with your career, meaning you want to either transition out of your career or start a new one. If you attempt to do all of those things at once, despair equals suffering minus meaning, right? You're going to go into confusion, negative self-talk. It's not for you. This isn't your time. All of that stuff comes up because you're throwing too much stuff at yourself. For instance, Christmas comes once a year. How are you going to prepare for Christmas? How are you going to prepare for Christmas? First off, you might make a budget. Then you might make a list of all the people that you need gifts for. Then maybe you're going to decide on where you're going to spend Christmas. Are you going to host Christmas? Are you going to spend Christmas with one of your family members? Are you going to go on a trip for Christmas? Next thing might be to lay out all of, if you're hosting Christmas, then what does that entail? Do I have everything that I need? What's the menu going to be? No different than planning what midlife success looks like for you. Take a look at your budget. Take a look at the lifestyle that you desire. I think next week's discussion is on wealth mapping. And it's not about, becoming a millionaire overnight. That's not what it is at all. It's about mapping out where your comfort zone is and how to live within that while striving for more. So that's next week's discussion. But what are the things that you can do to help you define what midlife success means for you, and where are you going to start? No different than a game like Monopoly or life, like you're starting you only have one place to start. So where is it? Which thing are you going to pick? Maybe it's you want a better you inside. Maybe you're going to change your diet. Maybe you're going to start exercising. Maybe you're going to join a gym. Again, what's the budget? What's the thing that you need to do first? How are you going to prepare? What's your daily schedule going to look like if you're going to add a trip to the gym into it? What are the new recipes that you're going to try in order to begin eating healthy? And once you take a look at anything that we are going to step into to create midlife success for ourselves, whatever that means for us, not for my husband, not for what my daughters think I should be doing right now, is what I want to do, what I aspire to do at this time in my life. How do I need to plan that? And what are the things that I need to do it? I had a boyfriend. This just made me think. I'm gonna let me do this for you. I love doing this, and I don't have one within my reach that I can use. I had a boyfriend one time that every day took a piece of paper and he would fold it into thirds. He would fold it into thirds in a zigzag. And he kept that in his jacket pocket all day long. So it was with him all day long. And on the first, so I've got 6 sides here to deal with, front and back. I've got 6 sides. This is about intent, about being thoughtful about your day, about your week, about what you want to accomplish. This can help you to stay focused on as people in your life call you and say, I need you, can you do this for me? You always have a place to come back to. So on the cover page, if you will, is the to-do list. He always wrote his to-do list before he went to bed. Clients he needed to contact, how his day was going to play out. On the inside, it was all the contact information that he needed. So he had everything right there. He didn't have any excuses why he couldn't do what was on his to-do list. So he gave himself everything he needed. So he didn't have to turn on his computer. He didn't have to get sucked into email. He didn't have to get sucked into turning on his phone. He had everything that he needed to get this done. It didn't mean that he got everything done, but he had everything that he needed right here to do it. And then the rest of the pages were him having in going deeper into each one of these, as if he needed to do something else, if he needed some more information. So I do this every single day. And I always use graph paper. I love graph paper. So I can make little check boxes on it and I can check things off so I can see myself progressing throughout the day. So what are the things that you can do to set yourself up for success in midlife? Like, instead of, I don't know, it just seems like time seems to fly by so quickly. Before I know it, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. And I'm thinking, what did I do with my day? So if you can take one area of your life, and not stay there, it's like, what would it look like if I took and spent 1 month on this area of my life to see what might come up out of it? What happened if I took care of myself and in a different way? If I ate differently, if I worked out, if I meditated, if I journaled, what might come out of that? Or if I have some relationships that are broken, or some people in my life that I need to release. I mean, that's a big thing too. There's no need to keep carrying people with you that no longer serve you. And what would that look like if you went through a process of releasing this person so that somebody else, because that person is somebody else is looking for that person. Just because that person is not for you any longer doesn't mean that you are being mean by releasing this person from you. You're releasing them into the person that's waiting for them, because you're not there anymore. So if you were to work on your relationships for a month, how could that unfold a midlife success journey for you? So start where you are on your journey, on what area of your life that you'd like to take a look at. And I say that with all everything in my being, to look at Because if we observe, if we're observing something, then we can let down the hammers of judgment and criticism. So how can you look at this area of your life that you'd like to unfold or unpack and see what might be there for you? And know that it's going to be messy, whatever it is. Before I came on this trip, this past winter, my husband and I joined a gym, and I had ideas. I had made up all kinds of stuff in my head about how I was going to go 3 times a week, and I was going to get so fit. And I met with the personal trainer, and I said, this is the area of my body that I want to work on, and this is what I'm going to do. And that didn't unfold in that way at all. At all. Winter came, the snow was here. We were walking to the gym. This wasn't fun. It took too long. I didn't anticipate how long it was going to take. It was exhausting. It didn't play out at all like I had imagined. That doesn't mean that I don't ever want to go to the gym again. It does mean that I want to go to the gym in a different way. But I didn't know that until I tried it, until I put some effort into what it might be, because there were some aspects of going to that particular gym that I enjoyed. But there were a number of things going to that particular gym that I didn't enjoy. So what else can I do? What's in my control that I can do to analyze without judgment or criticism? So I can analyze this path that I'm on, this thing that I want to accomplish, this new unfolding of me that I want to create. The other thing that made me want to share this idea of planning midlife success to you is, I don't know if any of you have Apple TV, but I just finished watching Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But the thing that struck me all the time, and I think that this comes up when I compare, this is why I only work with female clients right now, is there's such a difference, not only in our mindset between men and women, because most of the time women have not played a sport. Most boys have played a sport forever. What that gives them is practice. Boys and men know how to practice. Women, we don't practice. We think we're just going to step into something because we're the nurturers. We just start somewhere. We just pick up the ball and we run with it. And then we get to trip and fall and tell ourselves how stupid we are. And we get stuck. But in the show Ted Lasso, as in any sports game, they had a playbook. What's your playbook? What are you going to live life by? What is a success strategy for you? If you could, without telling anybody, if you could write down what a successful midlife for you would look like, what would it be play by play, blow by blow, minute by minute, right? Quarter by quarter. They've got all of these plays lined out to move the ball forward in the direction to get the goal. How are you going to move the ball forward to get it to where you want it to go? And it doesn't mean, my grandson was telling me, we were talking about, he's a big sports guy. We were talking about batting averages. Batting averages are, you get up to bat 1,000 times and you might hit the ball 300 times out of that 1,000. And that's great. That's a great batting average. When would we say that about ourselves? Seriously. When do we get to say, that's great, I missed the mark 700 times. And that's freaking fantastic. That's talk about the good old boys club. That's like where it comes from. They get the practice. So what's your playbook? Put together a notebook, but go out and get a notebook and print out on the front of it my midlife playbook and start planning because it's a long time. Think, your career might have been 28. I think you said, Terry, 28 years you were working for the company.
No, 48.
48. So 48 years. So now, and you're 74 now, right, Terry?
Yeah.
So 74. If you're going to live to 100, you've got 36 years. You need a playbook for 36 years. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like, when you look at it like that, these guys are doing a playbook for a 90-minute game. Yeah. And we won't do a playbook to plan for Christmas that comes every year. So play the long game. Play the game that you're in this for the long haul. And I have goals. There are things that I want to achieve in my business. There are certainly things that I'm doing. I'm working on a new website right now. I'm working on a subscription model. I'm working on a grant for this high school project that I want to do. There are lots of things in my business that I want to do, as well as there are lots of things in my life that I still want to go. There's so many places I haven't seen in the United States, in Poland, even as much traveling that I do in Poland. There is so much of Poland I still haven't seen. What is it? Where's my budget? What's the time frame? What's the best season to go and do what I want to do? Map this stuff out. Take the time. Hopefully we have the time now to create this playbook. And the playbook shouldn't bring anxiety or doubt. The playbook has to come from your soul speak. It has to come from the spirit breath, like Adrian was talking about. If you're breathing in the love and you're exhaling love, what then is the playbook saying? What then is that area of life that you want to unfold into? What's the financial story? Where's the budget? What's the physical? And the physical, we have to recognize too that physical changes are going to happen. My skin is sagging more, but I've got more wrinkles. There are more brown spots on my hands. There are things in my body that are changing that I have to learn to accept. So maybe I don't have as much energy as I did in my 40s. I certainly don't. Not like maybe. I don't. So how can you then get to be okay with that? So if you're body shaming yourself, then maybe that's where you start. Maybe that's where you start your playbook. How can I stop body shaming myself? For me at 66, how can I stop body shaming myself? Let's let's get it all out. Let's write my playbook. Let's ask for help. Let's connect with other women that are going through this life and see what they're doing, what they're thinking, how they're feeling. Don't let this is such a cool time in our lives. There's so much available to us that was not available to our parents. And I feel so lucky to be part of this time and be in this place where I'm able to, the internet can be good, bad, and ugly, right? But the good part about it is that I can find answers to things that I need. I can find new friends. This is the other thing that I hear all the time is, how do I find friends in midlife? And that's from going to yoga class, going to things that you enjoy, going to a concert. What if you were looking for a new friend, what restaurant or what bar would you find that person to be hanging out at? And go there, because I'll tell you, she's looking for you, because that's why she's there. And have that moment of braveness and say hello and introduce yourself. Because it's no different. Meeting somebody in midlife is no different, really, than going out on a date. You're just going to try them out. It doesn't mean that everybody that you meet is going to be your next best friend, because that's certainly not true. When I decided to move to Poland, I didn't know anybody, but it was a good time for us, my husband and I, to make a change. So we moved to Poland. It's the country that he was born in, but he hadn't lived in for 40 years. And so he had some family members and some high school friends, but I had nobody. And I knew that if I was going to make this European life, which is what I wanted, it's not what my husband wanted. If I was going to make this European life doable, I was going to need my girlfriends, because my girlfriends are very important to me. So I started, I say stalking, but in a good way. I started stalking women on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on another website called internations.org, which is where expatriates hang out. So I'm an expatriate. I don't like that word, actually. It's when you choose to live outside your country for an undetermined amount of time. Or a lot of times on internations, people are there because they've moved for work, or there's probably right now a lot of Ukrainians there that have moved because of the war, a lot of Russians that have moved because of the war. So I started looking up people, search words that had similar things that I enjoyed doing. I looked up restaurants that I enjoy eating at, or bars that I like to go to, or happy hours that I like to attend. And I would look at the people that were writing comments, and then I would look at them. And if that was somebody that I thought I might like to meet, then I would send them a message, a private message, and say, hey, I'm new here. I'm from America. I just moved to Poland. I've really missed my girlfriends. Any chance you would want to meet for coffee? I've never done this before, mind you. Yes, Terry.
I'm sorry. It's
Oh, you
10
got to
o'clock.
go. I got to go. All right.
Okay.
You watch this
Thanks.
part in the recording.
I will. I will. Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So I started reaching out to women in this way, where I was saying, hey, do you want to meet for coffee? Some women responded. Some women didn't. Some women blocked me. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't know them anyway. It's not like I'm going to bump into them on the street. But the women that said yes, I then had coffee with women that had interests. We had something to talk about right from the get-go. I didn't have to start from zero. I wasn't starting from zero. So in looking at these areas of your life and creating success for yourself in midlife, what area do you want to focus on? And create that playbook. I had a playbook of the women that I had sent messages to, and who I was going to meet for coffee, and what the outcome was. Sometimes some of the women I just didn't gel with, and that was okay. It wasn't like I needed to love everybody, and and they didn't need to love on me. It was, it just wasn't a fit. So we didn't exchange numbers. But the women that I did keep in my life are very near and dear to me. The women that I've met through yoga, going to yoga class. The women that I have met at a bar. Now, I'm going to suggest to you, and this is very scary, and I know it, but no time like the present is, even if you're married, even if you have a significant other, even if you're in a relationship with someone, start going to coffee by yourself, to lunch by yourself, take yourself out to dinner, go to happy hour by yourself and sit at the bar. Do something that scares the crap out of you, so that then becomes your new norm. And it's going to take you a while to get used to going out by yourself. But when you go out by yourself, you are sending a message to the universe that you are open for whatever is going to come your way. I have met the most interesting people all over the world, wherever I am. Like, for instance, even if my husband and I are going to the bar, for instance, we're away somewhere and we're going to go to the bar, I'll say, let me go first. You come 15 minutes later. Let me just go. Let me keep reminding myself that it's okay for me to be scared. It's okay for me to be uncomfortable. It's okay for me to say yes to my midlife success and what that is going to unfold into for me. Another playbook might be your career or your work. So many of us, I hear my daughters and their friends are in their late 40s, and had a discussion with them last weekend about, so when are you going to retire? What's your number? One of them was 65 and the others were 55. So if you're going to retire at 55, say you're going to retire, you're going to leave your current profession, but you're going to live to 100? Are you going to do nothing for decades? So look at this, even if you are retired now, what does that look like? What does that career piece look like for you? Maybe that career piece turns into you taking classes at Yale and Harvard and Berkeley and Penn State. Maybe you turn your career into learning. Maybe you turn your career into volunteering. There are plenty of opportunities for volunteering around the globe. The world is in a terrible state, and so much is needed. And your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom can go a long way in creating joy and happiness and purpose in someone else's life. Or you want to change your career. You want to start a new one. You want to start a business. What does that playbook look like? How can you set yourself up of unfolding what this picture has to offer you? Because that picture comes along with an image of who you are. And that's why I always, often, many times, talk about looking at myself, taking an out-of-body experience where I'm actually looking at myself and seeing what I look like when I'm in my joy space, when I'm in my purpose-filled life space, because I'm a different person than the person that's achy or feeling a little off. I'm a different person in my joy space. What's that playbook, excuse me, that goes along with that? What's the playbook? So what's my career? How can I turn my passion? How does my passion turn into my purpose? What is my passion? Maybe I've been so busy taking care of other people that I've kind of lost my passion. And if that's if that's the case for you, then what was it that you enjoyed most doing when you were a little girl? Go back to that. Start there, because that has some answers in it for you. That has some unfolding in it. For me, what I most liked to do when I was a little girl was create things. I had a sewing machine when I was 10 years old, and I would sit at that thing for hours creating things. So as I moved into midlife, I knew it's not necessarily about sewing or creating, making curtains, making clothes, designing a quilt. It was about the creation of for me, I take all my experience and I'm creating programs like this that can help women to step into this next phase of life. So what can you unfold into from this experience and the knowledge and the expertise that you have from all over the years by taking a look at what you loved to do when you were younger? And what does that have in store for you today? What could that playbook look like? What would you include in that playbook? So midlife success is up to you. I can't do it for you. Your spouse can't do it. Your best girlfriend can't do it. We can cheer you along. They can cheer you along, but they can't do it for you. But you've got to start somewhere. Where is the playbook of your midlife success? From your heart, without listening to what other people think that would be a good idea for you. You could certainly ask them what you're good at, what they might see you doing, but ultimately it's got to come from your soul speak about what you want to do, think about, be like, interact with every day with joy. Now is the time to start this midlife success journey. You deserve it. You made it through all of those experiences that you had before, the good, the bad, the ugly, the hurt, the pain, the fear. You made it through. You're here. You arrived. Now you get to decide what your playbook has in it. Day by day, take the trifold sheet, get a notebook, label it my midlife playbook. Look at what your success journey is. Focus on one area and begin to get comfortable in creating this unfolding of what this time in life has to offer you. I'm so thrilled you're here. I'm thrilled to have you listening to this session. My name is Mary Lynch. I'm joy-filled. You're welcome, Eileen. I'm joy-filled to have you here and to be part of my community. This is such a interesting time in life. It doesn't mean that I have it all down. Let me tell you. Yes, put the trifold and playbook on my to-do list. Absolutely, absolutely. Don't make this difficult. This is not meant to be difficult. It is meant to be inquisitive, get curious, design it like you mean it, do it with intent and thought. This is for you. There is no right or wrong, but this is an amazing time for us to take the time to develop what these next steps are for us. And it is never too late to start something new, ever. So I'm thrilled that you're here. My name is Mary Lynch with Braving Midlife. These are midlife discussions. Every week is a new topic. Next week we're going to be talking about our wealth statement and what abundance, what money, what's our money map? How much is this life going to cost us? Do we have this money? Where are we going to find this money? How can we step into creating more money? What this has in store for us. So I can't wait to see you then. Don't forget to join me every week here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Mary Lynch. Follow me on Facebook at Mary Lynch, or join the Good Morning Midlife private Facebook group for women only. You must have a vagina in order to join. So I can't wait to see you next time when we'll have another discussion about braving midlife. See you then. Ciao.